Talking about sex with your partner for the first time can be an intimidating experience, but it is an essential conversation for building a healthy and communicative relationship. This discussion can help establish boundaries, clarify desires, and ensure mutual respect and consent. Whether you're in a new relationship or have been together for a while, opening up about sex can lead to greater intimacy, better understanding, and a more fulfilling connection. Here's a guide on how to approach this important conversation. 1. Understand the importance of communication. Communication is the foundation of any healthy relationship, especially when it comes to discussing sex. Sex is a deeply personal experience, and talking about it openly can help both partners understand each other's desires, preferences, and boundaries. It also ensures that both people feel comfortable and respected. The first conversation about sex is not just about discussing the mechanics, but also about building trust and openness. Before approaching this conversation, understand that it is a sign of respect for your partner and for yourself. Avoid any judgment or pressure, and remember that the goal is to foster mutual understanding, not to perform or meet any set expectations. Create a safe and comfortable environment. Choosing the right moment and setting is essential when talking about sex. Avoid discussing sensitive topics like sex in situations where either partner may feel distracted, rushed, or uncomfortable. Instead, choose a quiet, private place where you can talk openly without interruptions. It's important to make sure that both you and your partner are in a relaxed state. A conversation about sex should never be forced or rushed. Both partners should feel comfortable and emotionally ready to talk about this topic. If your partner is not ready to talk about sex, respect their boundaries and give them space. This conversation should be mutually initiated. 3. Be honest and vulnerable. Honesty is key in any relationship, and being honest about your own desires, fears, and expectations when it comes to sex is important. At the same time, be aware of how you express yourself. Use I statements to focus on your feelings, rather than making accusations or assumptions about your partner's desires. For example, instead of saying, "You never tell me what you want," try, "I feel uncertain about what you like during sex and would love to know more." Be vulnerable and willing to share your thoughts about your sexual desires and experiences. Vulnerability can foster intimacy and make the conversation feel more personal and authentic. It can also make your partner feel more comfortable being open with you. Express your concerns about any previous negative experiences you may have had with sex, such as pain, discomfort, or trauma, so that both of you can work together toward a more positive sexual experience. Number 4. Discuss boundaries and consent. Before engaging in any sexual activity, comes to sex, or I want to make sure we're both comfortable, so are there certain things you're not ready to try yet? Be respectful of each other's limits, and understand that these boundaries can change over time. Remember that consent is ongoing and can be withdrawn at any point. Reaffirming consent throughout a sexual experience, especially the first time you are intimate, is essential for both partners' comfort and safety. Number 5. Talk about preferences and desires. Once boundaries and consent have been addressed, you can move on to discussing your preferences and desires. This can include talking about what types of touch you enjoy, positions that feel good, or fantasies you may have. You can also ask your partner about what they like and what makes them feel good. Be specific about what you want. For example, instead of saying, "I like it when you touch me," you might say, "I enjoy when you kiss my neck," or "when you touch me gently on my lower back." Specificity can help both partners understand each other's needs and desires more clearly. Keep in mind that everyone has different preferences, and there is no one right way to enjoy sex. This conversation is about exploring what makes each person feel comfortable and happy. Be open to experimenting and trying new things, but always ensure that mutual consent is maintained. Number 6, address any fears or insecurities. Talking about sex for the first time may bring up feelings of insecurity or anxiety. It's natural to have concerns, especially if you or your partner are not experienced or have had negative experiences in the past. These feelings are valid, and addressing them can help make the conversation more productive and supportive. You may want to express any fears or insecurities you have about intimacy. For example, you might feel nervous about your body, fear of disappointing your partner, or concern about how your partner might perceive you. Let your partner know what makes you feel anxious or unsure, and encourage them to do the same. Reassure your partner that your goal is to create a safe space where both of you can be vulnerable and grow together. Acknowledge that no one is perfect, and it's okay to not have everything figured out right away. It's about learning together and improving as you go along. 7. Be prepared to listen actively. Effective communication is a two-way street, and being a good listener is just as important as expressing your thoughts and feelings. When your partner shares their desires, boundaries, or insecurities, listen attentively without interrupting or becoming defensive. Show empathy and understanding and validate their feelings by acknowledging what they've said. Active listening can help you both feel more connected and understood. If something is unclear, ask for clarification in a non-judgmental way. For example, "I want to make sure I understand what you mean. Could you explain that a little more?" This demonstrates that you are open to hearing their perspective. And the first conversation about sex does not need to happen all at once, nor does it have to lead to immediate action. It's perfectly fine to take your time and revisit the conversation over several sessions if needed. Building a healthy sexual relationship takes time, and this initial discussion is just the beginning of ongoing communication. Let your partner know that you're open to talking about sex again in the future, and encourage them to share any concerns or thoughts as they arise. It's important to keep the lines of communication open so that both partners feel comfortable addressing new feelings, changes, or discoveries in their sexual relationship as they evolve. 9. Respect the pace of the conversation. Every individual and relationship is different. Some may be ready to talk about sex early in a relationship, while others may need more time to feel comfortable. It's essential to respect each other's pace and be patient throughout the process. If one person is not ready to talk about sex, don't push them into it. Instead, let them know that you're available to talk whenever they feel comfortable. If the conversation needs to be paused, it's okay to take a break and revisit it later. This shows respect for your partner's emotional readiness and allows both people to engage in the discussion when they feel more prepared. 10. Focus on building emotional intimacy. Sex is not just a physical act. It is also an emotional experience that requires trust, care, and emotional connection. Fostering emotional intimacy outside of the bedroom can make it easier to have an open and healthy conversation about sex. Engage in activities that help build trust and closeness, such as sharing your thoughts, feelings, and vulnerabilities with each other. Establishing a strong emotional bond will make talking about sex feel more natural and less intimidating. 11. Take responsibility for your own desires. While it's essential to be considerate of your partner's desires and boundaries, it's also important to take responsibility for your own sexual desires and needs. Express what feels good for you and what you enjoy. Don't rely on your partner to read your mind. Openly communicate about what you want and be honest if something isn't working for you. Understanding your own sexual needs will help you feel more confident and assertive in the conversation. It also shows respect for both yourself and your partner's experience. A healthy sexual relationship is built on mutual respect and an understanding that both partners have individual desires and needs. 12. Remember, sex is a shared experience. Sex should never be one-sided. It is a shared experience between two individuals who both deserve to feel comfortable, valued, and respected. Focus on mutual pleasure and connection, rather than aiming for a specific outcome or expectation. Talking openly about sex for the first time is an opportunity to set the tone for a healthy, fulfilling, and respectful sexual relationship.